All righty. Coming up next, we have the lawyer who's done federal time for a cannabis crime. That's right. It is other than the man himself, our model law representative, Dale Schafer.
Well, good morning, everybody. What I threw up was the pleading that just got filed in the case we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the Oregon company that's challenging the import and export ban on the Dormant Commerce Clause. And some of this stuff makes you yawn, but the authority of the federal government over all of this is based on the Commerce Clause. So it's beginning to get a little more interesting. You guys went over the letter to the DCC, from the DCC to our Attorney General, give us an opinion about whether we can import and export. Oregon, the state of Oregon has filed a motion to dismiss the claim filed by this wholesaler because they're claiming that there is no interstate commerce in cannabis, so the Dormant Commerce Clause doesn't apply. And they're also saying that because you can't get a license that satisfies the state and the feds, nobody can give you a remedy that you want. It's still going to be illegal under federal law. Now, frankly, I think that this is some horseshit by the state of Oregon, but what it's doing is it's refining a line between people moving across state lines to participate in cannabis businesses and cannabis going across state lines, because the Controlled Substances Act makes it illegal to have cannabis anywhere, whether it's in a state, cross the state line, it's all illegal. But back on the East Coast, we had some challenges to residency requirements to be an owner of a cannabis business. So those were struck down by the Dormant Commerce Clause because, and this is something we'll talk about over time, but they now recognize that commerce includes people moving across state lines to engage in commerce. It's not just goods, but it's services and people that can do that. So what Oregon is saying is that no, you cannot get relief here because you can't move products across state lines. That's probably a better question to go to the federal courts than can I be precluded from getting a license in Illinois because I live in California? That's stopping people going across state lines, and it's legal to do that. So we've got another line being drawn here. And based upon what you guys saw yesterday with the letter, there's now some more questions popping up that I'm ready to talk with you guys about from a standpoint of an attorney. Because the letter yesterday had legal citations in it like we write. We don't write stuff for people to generally review. We write it for a court to review, and it's boring as hell. This is a pleading, boring as hell, black letter law, but this is what we look at, and the challenge from this case is what I just described to you. Cut it down to layman's terms. So from there, let's have a discussion.
Oh boy. Are you ready to discuss this, Dale?
Oh yeah.
Let's fucking go.
All right.
Yes.
I think that it's ridiculous that the state of California did this. I find it even more interesting that the state of or was it the state of Oregon, or was it just it's not the state, it's just against the governor?
No, this is the state. They're acting through their attorney general and the head of their Oregon alcohol and whatever commission they got. Everybody's got a name for their fucking bullshit bureaucracy, but in Oregon, it's the state that's saying this.
Interesting. I find it very interesting that Oregon is kind of, would you call it pulling out in retrospect?
Well, I don't think they have a good argument here on a grander scale. But as I told you earlier, Jason,
they're pulling out. So they're pulling out. They're retreating.
Well, that's one way to look at it. But I'm encouraged that we now have the states stepping into this and going clear back to the Rage case, even my case. We got no attention from the state at all. They told Angel Rage, oh, you're kind of on your own. You go out and butt heads with the federal government. When you're a state butting heads in federal court, they give you a lot more attention because under the 10th Amendment, you really do have a lot of power as a state to challenge the federal government. So I'm hoping the dynamics gets changed here. And as they pointed out yesterday, the federal law makes no distinction between intrastate and interstate commerce. If they are going to tolerate any activities in cannabis, they're not going to stop at the state line under their current guidelines. They may not like it, but I don't think you can go to federal court and get this thing stopped because of the McIntosh case until they determine that you're not following state law. And this is where it all gets mixed up because we don't have a clear law. We have the camel sticking his nose under the tent and then going, oh, it's cool. Come in and set your own tent up. And the next thing you know, we're trying to figure out, and the government will not give us clear guidelines. They're just a bunch of pussies. They don't want to get in the middle of this clearly.